Hey, I'm Olivia, the Southern Yankee Stitcher. My stuff's falling off my desk over here. Welcome to my Flosstube number 37. It's been about 2 months since I had a video, and I have a lot to show you. I just recorded this whole thing over an hour and lost it. So I'm going to record it again, and the problem when that happens, and this has happened to me before. I'm not sure if I told you something earlier in the video I'm currently recording or in the last video that I need to repeat again. So, if I repeat myself, please excuse me, because it may happen. Like I said, it's been almost 2 months since I last recorded a video, and that's because I didn't have a lot to show you. I was having problems with my arm and shoulder, and just having a lot of pain, and it was really just inflammation and like knots and trigger points in my muscle of my upper arm. So I went to physical therapy, and first part of March, physical therapist says, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is our plan, and no stitching for a while. And I was like, huh? What? She said, yeah, you don't need to stitch for a while. Okay, so I didn't do much stitching for, actually I'll show you my book of days. You'll see, I didn't do. Let's see. Well, my arm was hurting, so I didn't stitch some before I went to that retreat at the beach, the Barefoot Needle Arts retreat in Myrtle Beach. And then when I got back, you can see I just didn't do a lot of stitching. And March 2nd is when I went to physical therapy, and they said no stitching. So I'm going to have on my calendar almost nothing. The only stitching I have is I went the 25th to Panda's Crossing, which is my LNS, and met up with my friends Dottie and Dolores and Susie to stitch. Well, we had planned like 2 months before that we were going to get together to stitch, and had picked that day, and we didn't know where we were going to do it. Well, we just ended up going to Panda's, and I think that's the last Saturday of the month or something, the fourth Saturday. They have a stitch in. You just come in their stitch room and just stitch. So that's where we ended up having it, and we so anyway, we met up there. I told them, my physical therapist said no stitching. They're like, what? No stitching? And I told my daughter, so I'm going anyway. I've got a market order there I need to pick up because Pandas doesn't do any mail orders or anything. But I did pre-order 2 charts, so I need to go pick them up, pay for them. And I said, a lot of times you'll go to these stitch-ins or retreats, and you don't stitch hardly anything. So if I go and don't stitch anything, I can pick up my order, I can shop, I can socialize, snack, So that was my plan. Well, then as I'm driving there, it's like an hour away. I thought, oh, one of the things that I ordered was to be stitched on perforated paper, and I'll show you that in a little bit when I get to the stack. I had to restack everything over here that I'd already shown in the lost video and put on the floor. So I'm not gonna pull that out right now, but it was on perforated paper, and I thought I'll just do that because it didn't hit my magnifier or my lamp or anything because I didn't plan to stitch. So I thought I'll just do that. So I got there and I picked up my market order, and I bought perforated paper, I bought DMC floss, I bought needles, and I bought a pair of scissors. Because I could have brought some of that stuff with me, especially the needles and the scissors, but I'll use them anyway. It's fine. So I worked on that a little bit, and then this month I didn't fill in yesterday or today. I had a few days I didn't stitch, but um, I've been back to work for a week. This is my second week starting. Today's the 17th of April. So last week we returned, but the 2 weeks before that we were on spring break. Since we're year round, our breaks are a little longer and we had 2 weeks off. Well, kind of in the middle of that spring break or towards the middle of the first week anyway, I just said, you know what? My arm's feeling a lot better and I'm going to stitch. So I just started stitching. And it made me a little sore, and I knew what kind of stretches and exercises to do that they showed me. And one thing they said I need to do is, well, I want to do like this with my shoulders. Not that, but just keep your shoulders back. Try and I need to strengthen the muscles between my shoulder blades and my back. Because I slouch so much, these muscles get overworked, and the muscles in the back aren't used like they're supposed to be. So I was like, yeah, well, I have bad posture. And the therapist was like, you and all of America. Yeah, I'm trying to work on my posture. And I'm going to tell you all this tip. And this is one thing that helped me a lot. And the therapist didn't even tell me to do this. I just kind of came up with this. But I stitch sitting on our couch, which is a recliner. And whether I'm on the, doesn't matter which side, but it's, an overstuffed couch. And especially my spot is kind of worn and, a little bit of a hole, where my imprint is from sitting in it so much. And so you kind of sink into the couch and your shoulders kind of go forward. And that's what I need to avoid. My shoulders don't need to go forward. They need to kind of stay back, and be straight. So I got a blanket. It's like a down-filled blanket, so it's not real bulky, but you could even just maybe use a real big towel, or a small blanket, a throw. And I rolled it up and I laid it in the middle of my cushion. So when I lean back in the chair, it's between my shoulder blades. And instead of my shoulder blades going in like this, where I sink into the couch and then I'm stitching, that's a little accurate. That's a little exaggerated, but they're back like this because I have that roll between me. And that doesn't hurt. That's not uncomfortable. That actually feels good. And my pain really decreased a lot after doing that. So if you all are having any kind of pain like that in your upper arm, it's probably the same thing. Like carrying my granddaughter around aggravated it, and doing other work around the house kind of aggravated. So I didn't do a lot of that. And I mean, my granddaughter, I kind of still did, but I would try and get someone else to carry her, and I would just hold her when I'm sitting down, so I wasn't lifting a lot with my arm. But really, it's probably mainly from stitching. So if you have that problem too, try and watch your posture and try rolling up like a throw, and put it, behind you if you have a chair that you kind of sink into. Anyway, that's my little tip. A little tip for the week. So, when I started stitching it and it didn't hurt, I was like, that's all I need to hear. Here we go. I'm stitching. I'm just going right back to it. And when I told the therapist that I started, she's like, that's okay. That's good. You can stitch. And I was like, okay, because a therapist told me not to stitch is what I was thinking, but I didn't tell her that. I was just like, okay, I'm stitching. I mean, can you all imagine? Come on. But when I started stitching, it was, like I said, the spring breaks. I was home, had a lot of time, and I wanted to pick up some of my whips. And some of my older whips. And the pieces that were calling to me were winter Christmas related. Why? I don't know why. They just were. And I wanted to stitch on them and I wanted to finish them. One of them I did get finished. and that's Prairie Schooler button up. I don't have the chart to show you. It's somewhere here in my room, craft room. I don't think I put it away, but I think it got maybe stuck in another project bag by mistake or something. I don't know. I couldn't put my hands on it. I just had my working copy that was in with this. What happened is I was almost, well, no, I thought I was going to stitch on this for a while, and I took it out of a project bag to use that project bag for another project. And that's when the chart got separated from it. So I'm not exactly sure where it is, but I need to make more project bags. That's what I need to do. I have the fabric and stuff to do it. I just haven't sewn. But anyway, before I picked this up a couple weeks ago, these top six blocks were done except for the back stitching. The back stitching, like all these trees and things, hadn't been done. So I stitched these 3 complete blocks. Then I back stitched, you know, like that little thing. Oh, you know, I think there's supposed to be a little, like 2 little red berries in there. And I missed that. You know, I back stitched all the things that need to be stitched. Back stitched. Then I did back stitch the grid. It looks kind of crooked, but it's straight. It's just the way the fabric's laying. And I put my initials in the year because even like some of the stockings I made for the kids, I wonder, when did I do that? How many years have you had that stocking? Most of it was pretty much it's pretty much their whole life. I just don't know with the oldest one if it was the last, maybe it was her second Christmas that I got it done. This is on 25 count even weave, color cream. I have it on this big piece, so I'll have some of them plenty left over. I never cut it, don't know why. But it's stitched with the called for DMC. I didn't replace any colors. These Prairie Schooler colors, they're just good. I just like them a lot. I have a piece that I showed you all before, and it hangs in my craft room, and it's this. This is a Sue Hillis design. I have it on an old chart where this is stitched on a sweatshirt. To tell you how old the chart is. But I've seen it, I don't know the name of the chart, but she re-released this like in another book that has several charts in it. Anyway, but there's too much space around here. I don't like all that space. In fact, I never even nailed it in the frame, or I just folded it around there to look and see what it looked like. And I left it hanging on the wall to see what it looked like. That's why it's kind of wrinkled and stuff. But this, I think, is going to fit perfect in it. So I'm going to take that sewing machine piece out, put this one in, and for the sewing machine, I'm thinking an oval frame may be better for that, where it would kind of cut off all this dead space. I just don't like all that space. Okay, so that was my finish. Then I had another whip that I picked up that was an oldie but a goodie. And it's also a Prairie Schooler. And it's Prairie Schooler, Santa's 12 Days of Christmas. This is days 5 through 8, and this is the section I started. I did number 5 golden rings. And I stitched all of number 5. 1 through 4 were already done. There's 5. I can't see if you can see it. I think that's all on there. Did y'all see that okay? So I started this last year with the intention of doing a Santa a month, plus an extra one along the way, and have it done by Christmas 2022. Obviously, that didn't happen. I would love to say that I'm going to stitch this. Hey, if I'm on number 5, I can still do one a month and I'm ahead of the game, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So I'm just going to see what happens. But that was stitched. I did 2/2 on 32 count lanbswool jobelan. Is what that's on. All right, this is a chart that I started in February. I actually started this at the Barefoot Needle Arts Retreat. I wanted to have a chart that I started there. And it's called Elizabeth Young, 1829, from Samplers Revisited. It's a Mid-Atlantic American sampler. And I know I've told you all this, but in case you're new, I was looking for a sampler. Really was looking for a Maryland sampler. Maryland is in the Mid-Atlantic. I think in some of the write-up I read about this one, they thought it was probably from Delaware, very close to Maryland. My grandmother's maiden name was Young. I went back on my ancestry to see if I could find Elizabeth Young around 1829. That was in our family tree, and I couldn't find one. I thought that would have been awesome if I had found it, but you know, still could be a relative. Who knows? So, and this is my progress. When I stitched this at the retreat, these peach colors in here I just really wasn't sure about. And I think it was on the Antique Needleworkers. She talked about peach being her colors when she got married. Peach and like this color green in here. And when I got married, that was one of my colors too. My bathroom was going to be done in peach, so I had all peach towels. And I had mauve and country blue. That was 1991, y'all. Those were the colors. That's kind of what these peach colors reminded me of. And I wasn't sure I liked it. But the more I started putting the different colors in there, I really like it. It's going to be a different looking sample. It's going to be different than a lot of the others that I've chosen to stitch that are kitted up. My goal was to finish this urn or basket of flowers before I put it away. There's a lot of colors in there, a lot of color changes. It took a long time to do that. I was happy to get to the basket. It's probably why I like Prairie Schooler, because they just have some big blocks of color on their charts, you know. It's not all of this, but this gives you a detail that they don't have. It's a different look, and I think it's going to be beautiful when it's done. What am I stitching that on? Oh, you know, I don't know if I wrote it down. Well, it's 36 count something. I don't know. Sorry. It's 36 count. I'm stitching one over 2. I like stitching on 36 count. At first I didn't like it, but I like stitching with one thread. I feel like it just looks better. I don't railroad my stitches. I like to stitch faster than that. If I railroaded, it would look better. Now, I'll say some things I've been working on where I have white stitches. I start railroading the white ones. And it does help them look a lot better. All right, so I had a start. My sampler start for April. I didn't have one in March. And Beez was January. That Elizabeth Young was February. Didn't do one in March because I wasn't stitching in March. So then April, and I just started last week, is this kit that I found on eBay. It's a Polly's Island original. entitled Traditional Sampler, and it's by Ginnie Thompson. It was in kit that was this, everything was folded, the linen was folded up in this little kit. It's dated 1975. You know how the kits come, what had linen in there. I've used it, everything that came in the kit. And I'm sure these flosses are DMC. I think it references DMC color. But you have all the threads come together. Well, they were bunched in like 4 bunches, but still. You had to sort them all. And what was bad about this one is you had to sort it by color, but it didn't tell you how many strands you have of each. And that kind of helps you. If you all ever have had kits that came with all the flosses, you when they start getting to be like brown, light brown, very light brown, it's kind of tricky, and you're not sure you have it right. Well, that one didn't tell you how many, and when I decided to start this, I pulled out the flosses, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to get what the border is, figure that out, and I'll figure out the rest of these flosses and put them on that floss organizer later. Well, I got the wrong color. But you wouldn't know it if I didn't tell you. This is my progress so far. Well, in it, Teresa, the kitten stitcher that says Wabi, she likes things wabi sabi, but they're not perfect. This is wabi sabi. I messed up somehow on the border, so you see that's not quite right, and it needs to be. I couldn't find it. I probably should have put it down and gone back to it to try and find it, but y'all, I wasn't going to rip out that border, so it is what it is. There are plenty of little girls that finish their samplers that look like this, and plenty of charts that are charted that way because that's how they did it, so that's how it's staying. But I stitch in hand, and I use a sewing method, and I go from bottom to top, bottom to top, bottom to top. I go like top, right, bottom, left, and if I can, I go all the way across like a row, and then I come back top, left, bottom, right. So I'm doing the same motion, bottom to top like this, like the sewing motion. So I've gotten where I start on the left because I like to stitch going this way. Otherwise, I'm kind of getting in my own way, going the other direction. So you'll see how these are spaced like the chart, but you run out of room over here. By the time I did all that, I was not going back. Now this row was way off. I had to take out back to the F to move that F over one space so this A wouldn't be touching the border. But if I didn't point that out to you, well, as stitchers you might have noticed, but you know what? Nobody else is going to notice that. And I'm not ripping it out. Isn't it the lady at the attic that says just keep moving forward? Well, I'm moving forward. I stitched on this thing till late last night, like my eyes were crossing. I was about to fall asleep. I have to still do the other half of each of the strawberries. And I really wanted to get the strawberries completely done last night, but I just couldn't stay up and do it. On this like blue chain going across here, it was a couple nights ago, and I was doing the same thing. I was falling asleep, and I just kept stitching, and I was like, I don't know why. Well, the next morning I got up and I had an error. I had to rip out half that row and go back and do it. So I don't know why. I don't just lay it down and go to sleep. I just want to get it done. I want to get it done. This, I don't know what count this linen is, but it's what came in the kit. It's got, some of the fibers are like hair thin. But and that might be how my counting got off or something somewhere. And there were a couple, there's one X in the middle of that blue, I think it's in the blue chain. That's over 3 instead of 2 because of those hair size threads, but I'm not pulling all that out. It's just going to stay the way it is. This fabric was folded up and it had been folded up in the kit. It was folded, the size of this since 1975. And I was real worried about the creases. And I should have ironed it before I started working on it. And I thought about doing it, but then I just was so anxious to start, and I didn't want to iron that I just started stitching. But I'm folding it a different way to try and get rid of some of those creases, and they're coming out pretty well actually. So I mean, that's just a little tip too, that when you put your stitching away, don't fold it the same way every time. Try and change it a little bit so that you don't get those creases that are so hard to get out with the iron. Okay, one of my market purchases, and this isn't a market purchase. Never mind. I'm not down to that yet. Oh, me. Just ignore me. All right, so I have another whip, and it's a new start. It's called Snow Country Sleds by Foxwood Crossings. I really love these. Love the barn, love the church. I love the blue sky. Love it. I got these because I want to stitch ornaments for all my family, and really I'd like to do like friends and coworkers too. I've been wanting to do, well, I did it for my family. Well, I gave them a stitch piece, I didn't give them an ornament, never mind. I've been wanting to do ornaments for the last few years, and I started some ornaments and didn't fully finish them. Never got around to it. I'm doing it this year. So I made up this using this kit. I've got this little bag, and here are the floss colors. I'm stitching some little sleds so that when Christmas comes, I'll be ready to go. This is like my travel piece. I can take that with me if I have time at work, or I'm waiting at the doctor's office or whatever. I can pull it out and stitch. I'm stitching on perforated paper, so I don't need lighting or magnification. And so I started these three. Well, I cut out all the pieces this size, really intending for this to be more centered, so it would give me plenty of margin in case it got bent up. Well, I mean, it's not bent at all. And I know I've only stitched like the border, but I don't need that big of a margin. So this is the same size. I cut up just one sheet, and I was able to fit two on there. And I'm a color completer, even when they're kind of different ones. So I did all of the reds. There's 2 different shades of reds that I finished. And yeah, I'm just going to keep going on these. I cut up, here's all the other pieces that are here in the bag. I've got all the floss in there. When I'm done with that chart, I also have this chart. I initially got these because of the blue, because my son's tree was blue. And I thought, I'll stitch these ornaments for him. Well, I love them so much, and I think everybody will. So I'm going to stitch all of those, and I can just work on them just whenever. It's easy to pull out, easy stitching, super easy stitching. Oh, I forgot to tell you something about another chart. This one, I got it because I was searching on eBay for under cross stitch South Carolina, and this came up because she's a designer from South Carolina. Also, it says Carolina, and it says here, Virginia Thompson is my name, America my nation, Carolina is my dwelling place, and Christ is my salvation. Well, my mother-in-law's maiden name was Thompson. She went by Lavinia, her middle name, and I'm going to replace the name Virginia with Lavinia. And I just have to make, all I have to do is that top row, squish the words together like one space to make room for it. I went ahead and charted Lavinia. And I think that'll be cool. And I'll in the margin I will put stitch in memory of Lavinia Thompson by Olivia, whatever. So when I picked up my market order, I also had another chart that I ordered, which was blue work pairs. I never got the red work pairs, but I might. I thought these were really cute. I love blue. And it calls for, what says DKS? I don't know what DKS stand for. Dicky Dye Silk, Persian Jade. The DMC color is 930. But I thought I need to pick out the fabric I'm going to use on the back of the pair to make sure my blue coordinates with that. So I went to our local quilt store. And it's not very big. But I was hoping to find something that's like, I'm going to call it calico pattern, but they probably don't call them that anymore. But that was in the blue family, and maybe there was a whole line of them where there were 3 different tiny prints like that in the same colorway. They didn't have that. And the first one I picked out, I couldn't find 2 other ones that coordinated. I could just do them all with the same fabric, is what I was thinking, but then I rolled that one out and found this one. And I know it has lemons on it, but I'm not 100% sure I'm going to use it, but I think I might. Because I will probably put these in my kitchen. Anyway, if I don't, I'll use that for something else, but I thought that was really pretty. Maybe Hobby Lobby will have a fabric I like better, but I really like that one. While I was at the store, I saw this fabric and I got some of this. Maybe I'll make a project bag out of it or something. I thought that was cute. Another market purchase is Blackbird Designs United We Stand. I love everything in this book, but that mattress finish, I'd like to try that. I haven't done that before. But what really sold me on the book is this. It's a needle book, but I probably won't make it into a needle book because I want to see it. And the needle book, I won't really have on display. So I think I'll just make this and frame it. I love that though. Love it. While I was at Pandas Crossing, I got another chart that it's dated in 2014, so it's older than I thought. But I wanted this for a long time. In fact, I don't have a lot of charts from Amazon on my Amazon wish list, but I did have this one on my Christmas list. So I thought one of my kids or somebody might see it and get it for me. I took it off my list today, but it's Strawberry Fields Forever. I love this. As soon as the first time I saw it, I love that brick wall. Love the red house. Love that fancy gate. The strawberries. I just love it all. Love it all. And to stitch both of those, I got this fabric, which I thought would be real good. And it's Milk and Honey by Fiber on a Whim. It's nothing. That's pretty close right there. It's got a little bit of a green tint, which a lot of Blackbird designs, the fabric they use is a little bit of a green tint. I think they'll both look great on this. I got a half a yard, so I have plenty. Love that fabric. The market release, I decided to open and start stitching. I think I told you all this. I don't know if it was the last video that I lost or not. But anyway, where I was going to Panda's Crossing to stitch, but the doctor or physical therapist told me don't stitch. So I didn't take anything with me. And I was just going to socialize and snack and shop. But then I decided on the way that this sledding chart is on perforated paper, and I could stitch that with no magnification or lighting, special lighting, and so I would start stitching it there because it was also pretty easy, and maybe I'd stitch a little bit. And this was the chart that I was picking up by Beez. It's called Let's Go Sledding, 12 Sled Ornament Designs. Now, I did start stitching it when I was there that day. And that's what I stitched. All the backgrounds on these sleds are black. I guess it's like the black sky. I don't like it with black. I mean, the colors look kind of neat, especially that minty color with the black, but I don't know, that just seems too dark for Christmas. It doesn't seem Christmassy. So I'm either going to pick out that black or just toss it and stitch another one because they're so fast. But I'll either stitch them with, I'll use different color backgrounds. One of my daughters is doing a tree in blues and kind of vintagey looking, like the turquoise and the pink and all that for Christmas. So I could do some of those, but I could just substitute blue for the sky and it would be just as good. While I was there, I had to buy the paper, had to buy needles, had to buy scissors, had to buy DMC so I could start. This goes in this bag. I gotta put it in here or I will not. It will not get back where it's supposed to be. The next thing I have to show you is something I won. I was so excited when I heard my name. And what's funny is that I was watching the Flosstube where they announced I was a winner. And I fell asleep, so I didn't hear it. Well, my daughter told me, she said, I heard them saying your name on one of those things you watch. Well, a friend messaged me and told me that I won something, so I went back and watched it again, and I ended up getting it there. I sent them my address, and I got this from the Antique Needleworkers, that new channel that is filmed in that beautiful grist mill, or grist mill reproduction, or whatever. But anyway, I won this chart from the Scarlet House called Sweet Tomato. I gotta check something real quick, y'all. Okay, I'm making a aggravated face. I'll tell you why in a minute. But anyway, I'm going to stitch this up to put in my kitchen this summer. While I was at the shop, I also bought these project labels by Kathy Barrick. So I can put on the back of my frame pieces. It's different birds. They're pretty. Went to the DMC site, and their book of all their colors that has the actual floss in it, not just a picture of it, was sold out. So I clicked on there, notify me when it comes back in. But in the meantime, I found one of these pretty cheap on eBay and ordered that. So on my cover picture, I showed a card catalog. Well, I'll try and take some pictures to insert here. I haven't taken them yet, but I'm looking at my card catalog right here. That was a Facebook Marketplace find, and it was a pretty reasonable price, and I have wanted one of these for probably 30 years. And it's a small one, so it was more affordable. The big ones are expensive. And I always wanted a couple big ones that I would put on the floor side by side and kind of build up the back with some wood, like build a frame, and put a twin mattress on it, and use it as my spare room / craft room, and all my craft stuff could be in those drawers. Y'all, I love to organize things with labels, so I had fun putting stuff in these drawers. It's mainly my floss. There's, 15 drawers in it, and 10 of them are floss. They are in floss bags, not Floss Away brand, but whatever brand Hobby Lobby carries is what they're in. And the bags fit in there just perfectly because they're like almost like 3x5, and they're made to hold 3x5 cards. But when I pull the drawers in and out, sometimes the bag will get caught and it'll pull it out. So it's not working great. It's okay. I'm gonna have to be real careful when I open and close them, but it also looks kind of messy, and I'm not crazy about how they look in there. I started to just leave them on the rings because I have DMC alphabetically and then my overdyes by name. No, I said that backwards. DMC numerically and overdyes alphabetically by name. So, but I went online and I found some envelopes that will fit in that 3x5 space, and I'm gonna put them each in an envelope. And my thought was to make a color copy of this, cut it up, and put the color and the number on the envelope, like the top corner where you put a stamp. I still have this to reference, so I never really went, because I had my bags and ring, I never really looked for colors in my DMC unless it was called for. Rarely did I do that, and having this, even if it's not the good one, is enough because that gives me I know kind of what color to look for. Anyway, I think that system's going to work really well. I'll take a picture of the drawers with the bags in there so you can see what I'm talking about. That's not a great setup. Okay. I had a couple other online purchases. Well, let me show you this one first. I was searching on eBay just when I think I was probably at work, but don't tell. Because it's been kind of slow at work. So I have time to, do other things. But I have to be at my desk, anyway. So, I go on eBay and I'm looking up like antique cross stitch or vintage cross stitch or antique samplers or, just to see what I can find. And sometimes I'm looking because I want to buy something. Sometimes I'm just looking because it's, okay, my screen just went into screensaver mode. Sometimes I'm looking just because I want to see them. I want to see, you know, what these expensive samplers are selling for, what kind of samplers are out there. But I saw this one sampler, and it was a stamped cross stitch, like that one back there. I got that one at a local antique shop, and it's stamped, so they have a different look than samplers you're probably used to seeing. But and they're not antique, but they're vintage. Some of them I like, and they're really growing on me. I have a few other stamped cross stitch pieces that I got because they all came from the same estate, and one was like an antique piece that came from that estate, and I thought it could be different generations that stitch these. I'm gonna keep it together. Anyway, tell you all that to tell you I saw this and put it on my watch list. I didn't pay attention to when the auction ended. Next thing you know, I get a 25% off, I think it was 25% off offer from the seller. And so now it's really cheap. I mean, it was inexpensive before, but it is really cheap now. And I was like, oh, do I want to get it or not? You know, I'm trying to decide. So then it pops up, your auction's going to end in 2 minutes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, do I want to get it? Do I not want to get it? I don't know what to do. So I just hit buy now. I kind of panicked, really, and said buy now. Like I didn't want to have, you know, remorse for not getting it. Immediately I thought, oh, I should not have done that. That was not, I'm not going to like that sampler. Why did I do it? But it was done, and I'm not going to be somebody that backs out on a, you know, when you buy something on an auction or whatever. So I bought it, and it came pretty quickly, and I opened it, y'all. I love it. I love this sampler. It's bigger than I thought it was, and I just think it's so sweet. Oh, I love it. You can tell where it was framed because of the staining. Almost a perfect line there. But you know, it's stitched on linen, and I'm sure it was stamped cross stitch. It's awesome. I love it. I can't wait to frame it. And I have decided that this wall back here behind me is going to be my stamped cross stitch wall. I have 2 other pieces in addition to that one, plus this one. I'm so glad I got that. I mean, if I didn't, I wouldn't have had remorse because I wasn't sure how much I liked it. I like it. I like it a lot. It's kind of folk arty to me. The motifs are. I like that. I went to thrift store. This is even, I don't know if it's worth showing you, but I got these for either $1 each, or it was 2 for $1. And this little, it's a brand new book of needles. Does it have like 40 needles in there? And then this hoop. You know, I don't stitch on the hoop. I don't have a hoop this kind, but I know people that do, and I just thought for that price, I'm going to get it and give it to somebody. I went to my favorite antique shop because she posted some pictures on Facebook of things she had in her store. And they were, you know, she has all kinds of antiques in there. But this particular day she posted, and it was sewing things. So I had some sewing tomatoes, pinkish tomatoes, some other little notions in the picture, and then it had this thing. And I was like, I need to go. I need to go and see how much that is because it would be perfect. And I love the color. It's just exactly what I've been wanting. And I'm trying to grow my tomato pincushion collection also. Well, I got there and looked at the tomato pink cushions, and I wasn't crazy about them. One was like a satin, red satin one. It probably had some age on it, but I didn't really care for it. And the other one was pink velvet, and it didn't really look old. It might have been just never used. I don't know. I wasn't crazy about that either. So I didn't get those, but I did get the other thing in the picture, and that was this. Apparently, you would put a battery in there, and there's an on-off switch, but then you kind of hear it when it goes backwards. Anyway, I'm not going to put batteries in it or try and use it or anything, but I love the red. I need to get, well, I have plenty of them, a wooden spool with some thread and put on there. And I just love it. What's it called? K&E Sewmaster. And it says Berlin, made in Germany. And I don't know how old this is, but it's all metal. All of it's metal. And it's kind of heavy. And like this is a little wooden handle. I love it. She also had this bag of wooden spools. I don't think any of them have thread left on them, but I was actually just looking on Amazon for some spools. I wanted larger than these, but not real big, because I thought about doing some ornaments and doing some little stitching on here. Something real small. I could use these for that, or just display, because I love old wooden anything. And I love sewing notions. So that took several boxes for me, just that little bag there. A few months ago, I'm just going to explain why I got this next purchase. I'll try to make it quick. A few months ago, I saw a cabinet on Facebook, and it was just a cabinet that I was going to put right here when my daughter said something about she might take that bookcase. It's one of a pair, and she has the other one in her room, and she might want that one to go in her room. Well, she ultimately decided she couldn't fit it in there the way she thought she could. So, that space is not going to open up. But I bought that cabinet. I think it was $15 or $20. I think it was $20. And it's about the size, a little bit shorter than that, but about that size. But doesn't have, it has one shelf in it. So you have the base as a shelf, and then the shelf, and it has two doors that open. And the doors have a design. It's like a rectangle, and on top of that, and these are all wood, is a wooden diamond. And it's very, you could tell it was handmade. It's very sturdy, except the shelf is kind of, they replaced the shelf recently, so it's not great, but it's okay. It's inside, you don't really see it. But when I saw it, I thought, I want to paint that in red chalk paint. That's what I want to do. So we brought it home, went and got it, brought it home, and it had some like spider eggs or whatever underneath it. And I was like, don't bring that in the house yet. I got to clean it off. Well, I was busy that day and didn't do it. And then I wasn't sure where I was going to put it. And it sat on my porch for at least a month. It's on my front porch. And so when I was off on break, I cleaned that thing off, and leaned underneath where the spider webs were, and brought it inside and looked at it and thought, well, I put it in my kitchen, like under a picture. It looks okay there, but it's kind of too crowded to do that. But the color looks good. It's wood. It was made by a gentleman for his sister, I think, or maybe made for his mother. Anyway, when I was loading in my car, a lady came in and she said, my father built that shelf. in 1980 something. It was mid 80s, like 1986 or something. So it's not an antique, and which I never thought it was. I liked the design on it, and I'll show that to you. Well, I have since decided. It's such a long story for what I'm going to tell you. I've since decided that I want to paint it possibly 3 colors. Use a red, a black accent, and like the diamonds, maybe a mustard color, because I want to do like some Pennsylvania Dutch style painting on it. And I had seen, and what made me think of doing that was on Facebook Marketplace again. A like wardrobe popped up that was from Germany. It was kind of painted this grayish blue, and then it had this painting of these flowers, tulips, and stuff on it. Very German looking, very Pennsylvania Dutch, what I think of when I think of Pennsylvania Dutch theme. Well, my daughter-in-law is an artist. She did graphic arts like for work, but she can paint anything. She does murals on the side and stuff, and she's very talented. And I thought she could do the painting for me on this chest, and it's going to look really good when I'm done. Cabinet. So I went on eBay to find pictures of samples to show her of painted furniture, Pennsylvania Dutch painted furniture. While I was on there, I saw these. Long story to tell you this. Sorry. And I was screenshotting a bunch of things I saw just to kind of show her what the style was, because she grew up in North Carolina. She has no idea what Pennsylvania Dutch folk art stuff looks like. And it would be hard for me to explain it. Well, I knew what motif I wanted to use because it's something that, well, anyway, I don't need to get into that any deeper. But I wanted to be able to show her kind of the style. In so doing, I saw some plates that were hand painted Pennsylvania Dutch style plates. I bought them. I didn't realize when I first looked at them and like saved them, I just put them on my watch list because I like them, that they were redware. And then when I looked at it a little further before I bought them, I was like, oh, it's redware. I don't own any redware, but I've certainly seen people online with redware, and it looks really pretty in their homes. And I got 3 plates, and this is what they look like. It says Bobby on the back of each of them. I guess it was the person who made them. There are 2 of the birds in one of these. This is my favorite. I love this one. This is very Pennsylvania Dutch type of motif. Both of them are. But like the heart and the tulips are just iconic to me. The edges are very uneven. I like that about it. I don't know if this was like someone that was just learning and that's why they're uneven. I don't know if all redware is kind of handmade looking like that. I don't know anything about redware. I know what it is. That's about it. I'm not going to start collecting redware because I could easily go down that road and do that. I've seen plenty of homes that decorate in primitive style with redware, but these will look great in my kitchen hutch. And that's a similar motif that I want to paint on that cabinet I have. My daughter-in-law said she would do it for me if I kind of laid out what I wanted, but she's so busy. She's so busy. She works full time. She started back at school, like online, to get her master's degree. She paints big murals for businesses. She's going to be doing some for schools. She's done some for some individuals who want it done in their home. After she'd done their offices, wanted like their game room done. And she has a 7-month-old. She does not have time to paint my cabinet. So I'm going to, that's part of my plans, and I'm not even done showing you my purchases yet, but I'm going to watch some YouTube videos on I think they call it one stroke painting. And also, they might call it like toll painting. My mother in the 70s took a painting class and it was toll painting. And like if you see some of the metal like trays and things that are painted, that's toll painting. And I think that's kind of the one stroke painting style too, where you load your brush up. Like if you're going to paint a leaf, you load your brush up with a little bit of the dark green on one side of your brush and the other lighter green on the other side, and you kind of push your brush in and stroke it up and then lift it. And when you do that, it blends those two colors and makes a leaf and comes to a point. I've done a little bit of that at like one of those paint and pour things you go to. I don't drink alcohol except on a very rare occasion. So I don't do the pour part, but I did do the painting part, and they didn't really teach that to the whole class, but they did show I was having trouble with something. I forget which painting it was now. And she came and showed me how to load my brush that way, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like a whole new world. It was a whole new world. So I think I'm going to just practice, see how good I can get, and then try and paint that cabinet myself. And I'll be showing you all. I'll show you all the before and afters. Okay, I just have a few more things to show you, and I think I'm done. And we're right like a minute over an hour. The second hour that I've talked about this stuff. When I was cleaning my craft room, here we're in right now, it doesn't look clean, I know, because I have stuff sitting around, but it's never going to look clean because it is my craft room. I've got stuff laying out here that I'm framing. I have fabric back here because I thought during break I was going to sew like curtains to go under these tables that sit over here so you can't see the boxes and stuff I have stored under there. There's that printer's tray piece I've told y'all that I've been working on, and I do have other things stitched that go in there, but I was kind of waiting to get that together. I wasn't ready to talk about that yet. I mean, it's all stuff I'm working on, so it's got to be functional too. But while I was doing that, I found a cardboard mailer full of charts that I bought back, I think, in December. And I don't think I showed them on here. And I realized after I started looking at these that I think I didn't show them because I'm not sure they're authentic. I think they may have been copies that somebody made and sold them. This lady that was selling on eBay had a bunch of charts. She said she was getting rid of her stash. And yeah, you just pick the ones you want. And then she would combine shipping and, all this. She was great to work with, but I just compared. I had another Scarlet House chart that I think I just showed you a few minutes ago. And I compared the thickness of the paper that it's on to the thickness of the paper that these Scarlet House things are on. And these are a little bit thinner. I think that these are, do you call them counterfeit? What do you call them? When somebody's making a copy of your stuff and selling it. I don't want to accuse somebody without knowing. I mean, it's just a slight difference in the paper. I don't know. I'll show them to you, and you can tell me if you've heard anything about these about people doing this. I mean, at first I was like, why did they get these out? I didn't show them on Flosstube or anything. And then, like I said, it occurred to me as I was laying my stuff out and getting ready to do this video that I think I didn't show them and left them in the envelope because I'm not sure they're legal, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, I'm going to show you the charts anyway. I'm going to, right now, assume they're good because I don't want to accuse somebody if they're not. But if you see any of these, and I do have a couple that are not Scarlet House. Anyway, when I get to it, I'll show you. So right now, I have this one, Henry de Benes, 1837. I love that house. I love like the stone side of that house. I just really like it. I also got Coverlet Candle Mat by Scarlet House. I probably will not make this into a candle mat. I'll probably frame it. Sorry about the glare, but we just have a couple to go through and then we're done. On Stoneware Street, and you can see this is done in that kind of khaki color with that blue, just like stoneware, like it's shown in the background here. And I have some crockery and stoneware, and I love those with those. I can't afford any that look like that. One day I'll maybe happen up on a bargain and get one with a really pretty painting on it. But I love the red house, and I love the street looking like stoneware. I just like this one too, and it kind of just, maybe it's because the crows, it just seems fall to me. Blackbird Inn. See, this one is real flimsy paper too. If you have this chart, Little House Needleworks, its own cardstock, let me know. This is another Little House Needleworks. It feels a little bit, I don't know, it's just more pages probably. But these kind of look like copies of copies. And I love this one here. It's called Farm Life. And I tell you, I love this one because I have charted a piece. Say I charted a chart, if that's right. I've charted a piece that is very similar to this. When I saw it, it reminded me so much of what I did, but they've done it better here. The verse on here says, "You cause the grass to grow for the livestock, and plants for man to cultivate, that he may bring forth food from the earth." And it has a little woman on there with her basket, and all the chickens are out there. I think that's her husband standing back there. It's kind of hard to tell what he's doing. But anyway, I charted something that looked very similar to this that I was going to stitch as a tribute to my great-grandmother. She's the one whose diaries I'm reading to my mom. We just finished 1945, and I'll start 1946 when I see her next time. We finished it up, and she said, well, it was like the last 3 months of 1945. She said, well, that was a little more interesting than some of the others. She did more things. Funny. Anyway, I charted something very similar to this, where it had kind of rows of things. And it had rows of, I had berry bushes. It was all about things I had read in my grandmother's diary. Because she would go pick blackberries, she'd go pick strawberries, she'd pick blueberries, and she would pick all of these, by the bushels, and sometimes it was for the farmer so he could sell them, some it was so that she could sell them, some it was just for her consumption, but most of the time it was for money. These corn stalks here, instead of those, I had shocks of corn, and shocks of corn are where they cut the corn and stand it up, almost looks like a teepee. And I learned what a shock of corn was by reading her diary. I also had a clothesline with a quilt hanging on it like that because she would quilt. And instead of a white house like this, I had a log cabin because her husband, my great-grandfather, built a little cabin. It's still standing today under what looks like just like a farmhouse. And they live there together. So I think I may use a lot of this, like their barnyard animals and stuff look so much better than mine. I don't see a pig on here. I'm going to have to add a pig in because maybe take the sheep out. They didn't have any sheep. Put a pig in because they had pigs. They had hogs. and they talked a lot about butchering hogs. She and my grandfather would go farm to farm and help them butcher. But she would go pick cherries, they'd pick apples, they'd make apple butter. And it's like, you know, they use these big giant things where they cooked outside to make apple butter. It's like, we made 48 gallons of apple butter today in your diary. Like, it's a lot of work. You have to stir that constantly. But I think they just made it and sold it. Anyway, I'm probably going to just conform this to look with some things that I charted that were more personal. I'll probably leave the verse on there because she was a Christian lady, and somewhere I'll put her name and the years that she lived. Another one that I got is Sister's Farm Fresh Eggs by Pineberry Lane. I thought this was really cute. I really like the chicken on there. The lady's face. Scary. I was like, is she supposed to be a chicken? But no, she didn't have a beak. She's, I'm going to have to find another chart with somebody's face and replace it because it's terrible. But the rest of the chart I love. I even love her dress and her shoes and her hat. Just that face is scary. Ooh. The last one is, it's called Good Company by the Scarlet House, and it says she lives on a hill overlooking the sea with only her dogs for good company. She doesn't need less, she doesn't need more than to hear the waves crash into the shore. I got this, well, I just thought it was pretty, but I also thought my youngest daughter might like it because although we don't live by the ocean, she loves marine life. She's one that loves sharks, wants to go swim with the sharks. She wanted to be a marine biologist for a long time in her childhood and teens. And she loves dogs. She doesn't have a dog right now, but she loves dogs, and I'm sure she'd like to have one again. So I might stitch that for her. And that is it. Let's see, I'm 1 hour and 12 minutes, and yeah, my plans are I'm going to try to do that painting so I can paint that cabinet. I am going to, for a few days, give my arm a rest because I did too much over the weekend. Pulling weeds and holding my granddaughter and stitching that it's sore today. And I think I told you about the card catalog, did I not? I think I did. I don't know if I did the first video or the second video now. But I have envelopes coming for my DMC for in that card catalog. I think I told you about that. And so I'll work on getting that organized. And I need to sew curtains for this, for under these tables. I can't under that table. I'm not coordinated, y'all. That's why I can't play video games and stuff. I'm so slow. So slow. I went through the piles. That's it. So I hope you all have a good next few weeks. I hope to be back with another video in 2 or 3 weeks. Provided this arm gets a little bit better after being stupid and doing too much this weekend. So I can get back to stitching. And I don't think I have any other announcements or anything to tell you. But I hope you all been okay. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I hate seeing these reflections of my glasses the whole time I'm making this video. I lost the sunlight behind me and it's messing with the light. Yeah, please like and subscribe and comment. Let me know what you're working on. What are you working on now? And what would you like to see more of? Do you like seeing purchases and haul? Do you not like seeing that? I'm really trying not to buy much, but most of those charts were bought in December, and they're probably counterfeit charts. It's terrible, terrible. Anyway, do you like seeing? You obviously like seeing stitches, but do you like seeing other things? Like, would you be interested in seeing how I paint that cabinet? Um, just comment. Let me know. Let me know how you're doing too. I'd like to catch up with all my friends. There's some that I'm looking forward to seeing at StitchCon. I will be there weekend B, if I haven't told you already. It's weekend B, and I'm looking forward to it. One of my friends, when I went and stitched with them, they said, "Are you looking forward to StitchCon?" I said, "No, not yet. Just not. I don't want to go, but I wasn't yet. I really wasn't even thinking about it yet. But now I'm thinking I gotta get my smalls together. Um, if I want to give something away to people, what do I want to use? What do I want to give away? Do I want to do floss cards again, floss drops? I don't think I want to do that again. I want to do something different. I have some ideas for that. So, um, if you want to StitchCon Weekend B, I will see you there. But I do hope I will be back on here before then. I'm just gonna ramble if I keep going. So I'm just gonna say goodbye, and I will see you all soon.